Right, so before anyone gets too excited, I should say up front, sorry to disappoint. This isn't going to be a showdown between me choosing a Sony Burano and a Red V Raptor X. I wish, but that's just not where I'm at. What I'm actually looking for is something much smaller, something that actually will get a lot more use and that's a bit more practical for me. I'm looking for a camera that can help me, and specifically my ever-patient partner, Meg, shoot content on the go without having to drag a built rig out every time. Because one of the realities of making YouTube content alongside client work is that not everything needs to be a Komodo X build or to use the FX6. Sometimes I just want something that's light, quick, and easy to point at myself. Something that Meg can grab and shoot with when we're out and about, and without her feeling like she's being handed a full-blown cinema camera. Now, of course, you know I already own the Sony a7S III, and that's a phenomenal camera. It's matched perfectly with the FX6, and the image out of it is pretty gorgeous. And over the years, it's done me proud. But even that feels like a bit of a lump for what I want here. It's not heavy at all compared to the Komodo, obviously, but by the time you've actually added a lens and a cage, and maybe a monitor and a battery for the monitor, it's still not really discreet. And honestly, the EVF hump is a kind of a bit redundant for what I need it to do. I almost never need to bury my eye into the camera body, unless on one of those odd occasions where I'm using it to take stills. So what I'm looking for is something that's quick to set up, lightweight, and really easy for both Meg and I to live with. So I've been narrowing down some options, and I'd really love to get your thoughts, because one of the things I've quite quickly learned from this YouTube foray is that there's a huge amount of expertise in this community. The first serious contender for me is the Sony ZV-E1. And on paper, in a lot of ways, it represents the sweet spot. It's got the same sensor I already know and love from the FX6 and a7S III, but it's in an even smaller, even lighter body. And so I think maybe paired with my 20mm G lens, it would actually be quite a potent combo. And the thing that's especially appealing for me is the stabilization. I think it's got an additional stabilization mode that the a7S III hasn't. It's supposed to be very smart, and that might offset the fact that it's such a lightweight camera. Normally I stabilize by adding weight, but obviously if you're looking for something lightweight, that's at odds with that. So I can imagine the ZV-E1 being an incredibly useful camera for handheld bits where I just really want to get something usable without the hassle of anything rigged additional to the camera. Another possible contender is also the Fujifilm X100VI. Now, this is attractive because it wouldn't just be a video tool, it would also be an upgrade to my point and shoot. I already use the X100V and I love it. I did a whole video on it. It's small, discreet, fun to shoot with, and it kind of makes you want to carry it everywhere. The new one, the 6, I think adds IBIS and a few other refinements, which makes it even more versatile in theory. It could potentially also kill two birds with one stone. So I'd get an upgraded point and shoot, and I would potentially also have that compact video camera option for the jobs, or not the jobs, but the use case that I need it for. So I've kind of done a little bit of cursory research, and those are the two options that potentially leap off the page to me. But I want to be really clear, I'm completely open to suggestions beyond those two. And honestly, that's one of the reasons I wanted to do this as a video rather than just making a decision in my own head and through consulting Meg. One of the things I've really quickly come to be aware of is that there's a huge amount of knowledge in the comment section and in the community here. I've had absolutely incredible exchanges with DOPs, editors, working freelancers, and also absolute beginners, and kind of everyone on that spectrum. All of them know things that I don't, and everyone's been generous enough to share their experience, and it's completely changed how I think about certain aspects of the craft. And that's actually turning out to be one of the biggest privileges of making content here. I thought I was just putting videos out into the world, but what I've actually got back is this really heady, ongoing dialogue with a community of people way broader and more talented than I could ever have imagined. And it's completely brilliant. So every so often, I'd like to really lean into that and make a video that's not me delivering a neatly packaged answer, but me asking a genuine question and inviting you into the process. So today, here's what I'm weighing up. The ZV-E1 would give me and Meg familiarity. I know the sensor, I know the files. Meg knows the ergonomics in broad terms, and I can trust that it'll slot pretty neatly into the rest of my workflow. So we've got a bunch of lenses. It's small, it's light, it's got that really attractive stabilization. And I think with the 20mm G, it could be a really strong run and gun combo. The X100V potentially gives me charm. It's a lovely camera. Again, something I'm quite familiar with. It's tactile, it's attractive, and it would also work as a point and shoot, easy to carry around. So because of that, it might potentially get used a bit more often. Not just doubles, but its main role is potentially as a point and shoot camera. So it's useful across a number of roles. But there are also other options that are sort of the next tier down in my thinking, which maybe unfairly, you tell me. For example, the Sony FX30. I'm a huge fan of tally lights, and I can think of plenty of situations where I wish I'd have had one. The FX30 has those, plus it's also a Super 35 size sensor, or APS-C, which is very similar, which is something I've come to appreciate a lot more since using the Komodo X. When I was just Sony FX6 and A7S III, I was sort of like a full frame snob and didn't see the appeal of Super 35, but now I completely get it. The downside with the FX30, or with an FX30 for me, would be I would probably need to get some wider Sony glass. Not too big a deal. I know that they do the range of E-mount lenses that aren't full frame. They're a little bit less expensive. So yeah, the FX30 is on the list. Probably not the FX3, that's a bit more than I'd want to spend. Very capable camera though it is, but it kind of, in a lot of ways, the FX3 isn't the camera I'm looking for this role. And I've also got a couple of other wildcard ideas that I have no idea about. Can the new Ryko GR shoot video and capture decent audio? I don't know, you tell me. If it could, that could be an interesting curveball, because I know that the GR series has an enormously passionate following among people that want a camera that's more than just a camera that they take with them. So I'm going to put it out there. What do you think I should do next, camera-wise? If you were in my shoes, which way would you lean? Would you go for a ZV-E1? Because it integrates so perfectly into what I'm already doing, and I know, apart from the overheating issues, but I don't really think in sunny Cornwall that would be too much of a problem. Average temperature on a good summer is low 20s. Would you go for a X100V because it's just such a nice camera to use? Fuji colors, lovely JPEGs, and much improved video over the predecessor. And the enjoyment of using it might translate into actually using it more often. The FX30, potentially a route to explore, or something completely different I haven't even thought of. Here's how I see the use cases for this camera. I'd like to make more videos like this. I'm sort of thinking them in my mind as Monday monologues, but that doesn't quite fit. I don't want it to be a monologue. I don't want it to just be me speaking. I want it to be a way to make something that's a bit less polished, that is more of a direct conversation with the community. Not really B-roll, no fuss, just set the camera up at the desk, hit record, and ramble nonsense. So I think the ZV-E1 is a really good fit for that use case. And it would make things easy. I could just slot the DJI Mic 2 straight into the hot shoe, use a lapel mic, the DJI Mic 2 as a lapel, under my lapel. And that would be a pretty seamless solution. I'd also like this camera to fit in with everyday life, walks, trips to the beach, drives around the county, dramatic seascapes, things where rigging the Komodo, taking it out is kind of ridiculous, but where you still want to document things in like a pretty high fidelity image and really capture the truth of the pretty beautiful place in which we live. The Fuji obviously does a really good job of doing that with images, and it has a discreetness to it that doesn't scream, I'm taking video. So that's something to be considered. Maybe the ZV-E1 fits that as well. There would of course have to be inevitably some overlap with a little bit of client work. So it would be handy to have a camera where the footage out of it can still stand up alongside Komodo or FX6 footage. That's where either of the Sony options might make a bit more sense, because I'm already familiar with working with their color science. So yeah, it's not like the world's highest stakes dilemma, but I thought before I rush into any purchasing decisions and then tell you what I've got and then have to respond to comments saying, oh, why didn't I think of this? I should have looked at this. If I do this bit beforehand, then I can make a bit more of an informed decision, taking advantage of everyone else's much more broad experience than my own. And I know I've got cameras that can do this job, again, especially the aforementioned A7S III, but I really want something even lighter for Meg, mainly. That's how I'm justifying it, and something that can just be grabbed and used. So some kind of versatile option that fills in the gaps between my existing camera lineup. So yeah, if you could tell me what you do. If I'm able to, I will put a poll in the description or comments. I've not tried that before, but I have seen them around, so it must be possible. And you can then vote on the 3 options I've come up with, or if you've got something even better, maybe something from Canon or Nikon. The Canon or Nikon option would have to be really compelling because, like I said, I've already got a bit of a Sony lens ecosystem, but it's not to rule it out. Something, you know, with an integrated fixed lens would be potentially worthwhile looking at. Let me know what you think, and in due course, I shall confirm what I've chosen and report back. Thank you very much for indulging this quite different style of video. I don't intend to polish it. I don't intend to over-edit it, but hopefully it's a bit more conversational, which has been one of the most valuable things I'm getting out of YouTube. So maybe it'll spark the same kind of dialogue that has made this channel so rewarding to embark on. Thursdays will still be my main, more structured uploads. And if I can do, I'm going to try and make Monday a bit more of this regular conversation type video, if it turns out to be useful for anybody. And just before I go, I want to recommend something that I've watched recently that I found insanely delightful. It's a documentary on YouTube called Listers, made by brothers, I think Owen and Quentin Reiser. It's about the frankly insane world of competitive birdwatching, which I didn't know existed. I find myself sometimes a bit embarrassingly swerving long form content sometimes. I think I, like a lot of us, probably have a ever decreasing attention span. But this documentary, it's nearly just over around about 2 hours long, and I was hooked from start to finish. It's beautifully observed, witty throughout, and completely compelling. So if you need something to watch after this, and you've already watched all of my videos, I can't recommend it highly enough. Anyway, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you Thursday.